नमस्कार मित्रों, मैं हूं आपके साथ अशोक वर्मा। आप देख रहे हैं टीवी 20 न्यूज। बने रहिए हमारे साथ। अब खबरों की करते हैं शुरुआत।
This is Frank Islam, Chairman and CEO of FY Investment Group and your host of Washington Calling, where we interview leading voices from business, from politics, as journalists that impacts you, the viewer. Today, we are fortunate enough to have a distinguished guest, and his name is Mr. Rabinder Sachdev. He's the Director of India Affairs at USI NPAC. He's a recognized expert in foreign affairs and economic diplomacy. He hosts a weekly show on foreign affairs on a regional TV channel in India. He's the president of Image India, independent think tank that extensively works with the Indian diaspora. Thank you, Mr. Sachdev, for coming to our show, and welcome to our show. Welcome to our show.
Thank you so much, Mr. Islam. A pleasure to be with you, an honor to be with you. You are a very well-known, person who articulates and explores and even actively leads on matters that you talk about. So it's a pleasure to be with you, sir.
Thank you very, very much. You have lived and worked in the United States and now heading a think tank in India. Please tell us briefly about Imagine India Institute and its activities. As I understand, it's an independent think tank. Tell us a little bit about it.
Yeah, absolutely. We are independent, non-partisan overall, absolutely. The spelling of the think tank, the name, if you read it, can be pronounced as Image India or Imagine India. So when I started the idea of this think tank, actually I was in Washington, D.C., those years doing other things, my work, business, and other participation in public, affairs a little bit.
When were you in Washington, D.C.?
I was in D.C. from 96 till 2003.
Okay. I was at that time I was not into the columns writing, as well as I own a company, so as a result I was
QSS. I think
yes,
QSS. Yes. Sure.
Go ahead.
So thank you. So so when I moved back to India, I had to continue, of course, work. I had a telecom startup which I sold off in the Northern Virginia area. So when I moved back to India, I thought of having a think tank which is working towards promoting the image of India. I studied communications at American University, International Affairs. And my thesis was that my idea is that your image depends upon your imagination. So the more substantive your imagination, I would think the image is a derivative of your imagination. So I set up this think tank with an approach to promote the imagination, let's say, of wherever I can reach, folks in India and among the diaspora, in order to, more visibly bring the image of India. So that's the naming and mission, promoting the imagination of India and the diaspora. What we do, we run in three areas, I think. One is foreign affairs analysis and comment and participation, including some campaigns between US, India, and in US. Then secondly, we run leadership training programs for training leaders, especially in areas of cross-cultural communication. I studied cross-cultural communication, so it fit in, and one can see a lot of things in this world which are impacted and where communicating across cultures is the core. So one is foreign affairs, geopolitics. Another is, leadership training with a huge focus on cross-cultural focus and cross-cultural understanding. And third is we do research, industry research, be it energy, nuclear energy, electricity, and, such sectors. So these are broadly what we do.
You're uniquely positioned.
Oh, thank you. Yes, perhaps. And I consciously, partly by design, definitely, yes, but a lot also by chance and where life takes it.
How big is your organization, Imagine It?
My organization, my team is about right now only 4 people. We've had at times people in the range of 10 to 12, but what we have is a roster of experts because the projects, like we work a lot on nuclear energy, and right now we're working on hydrogen, green hydrogen for the government
Oh,
of
yeah,
Japan.
yeah.
So then we take on experts, because I cannot have on-roll experts all the time, depending upon when it comes, and these experts are expensive, sir. So we are, you can say, a network organization in that sense, and we've got colleagues who partner up with us across the world also. Yeah.
So tell me, how do you get a subsidy? Do you get money from India or from the government?
No.
You get it from philanthropist?
We absolutely do not get any money, and we do not also pitch for any money from the government of India. And my basic element in that is that, I have been an entrepreneur in my one previous life. As I mentioned, I had a startup. I have an engineering background and software background in India and then in the US. So I've been an entrepreneur. So in that sense, my idea is that, you eat what you kill, you hunt and kill,
Okay.
And so we work closely with the governments, without doubt, be it
Right.
India, actually in other countries also. Though for some consulting, yes, we do get, in all disclaimer, like with the government of Japan, we are the advisors on nuclear energy in India.
Oh, yes.
So those are different things, but otherwise we do not, for any.
That's wonderful. That's the reason you are non-partisan.
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
And you have
Absolutely.
tracked U.S.-India relations for a long time and also closely monitored the achievements of Indian American community, which is so much focused now because of the election in the United States with Kamala Harris. And she's a dear friend, by the way. I'm sure you know that.
Wonderful to know that.
being-
Okay, I'll talk about that later. Thank you.
being the Democratic Party nominee for the president. Tell me a little bit about that. Do you think U.S.-India relationship is based on shared values, shared interest, and also and commitment to democracy?
That's a great question, Frank, and the way you put it, I think I'll think about it. The narrative is that, yes, our relationship is based on shared values and democracy and interests, right? That is the narrative to which I think all of us agree and think by. But I would actually beg to disagree on that.
Well, what
Our
about the Russian relationship with India? That's a sore point for us.
No, sure. Yeah, I'll come to that in a moment. That's why I'm saying that our relationship with the US is not necessarily based on shared values 100% mapped. We do not have 100% mapping of shared values. The way we see some things in India, or it is seen, is different at times than what the America and Americans, and by Americans I mean the US administration and the US Congress, the executive branch and the legislative, the way they look at India. So the narrative is that, yes, we have the same shared values, love of freedom of speech and free markets and such, and liberal societies. But there are some values, I think, where we do differ between the US and India. Other than the interests, we differ in some interests also. Okay.
That's
Yeah,
a good way to put it.
Yeah. So we differ.
You don't see eye to eye on several points, such as military, such as education, and such as several things that you do not see eye to. Counterterrorism is another one, and nuclear power. So you don't see eye to eye with the United States, and also with the U.S. with the relationship with Russia.
I think in India, the Indian thinking, perhaps, if I were to say, I'm not saying but let's say if I could be a sounding board via media,
Sure.
Is that the US does not understand India. That is one.
We don't understand a lot of countries. We don't understand a lot of Middle Eastern country either, and we just go bomb.
Actually, the same thing is, even India does not understand America.
That is a good way to put it.
India does not understand America, right? So that is there. But the bigger one is that we do not see eye to eye in the emerging global order.
That is true.
And that's something I can a little bit expand.
Sure.
But the point is that the way this world is developing now, it is said it's a new world order which is coming there. Now, India does not see eye to that. And my sense is that if I were to take a half a minute, 20 seconds, I think that it's not a new world order which is coming up. I define it and I have a model, sir.
What is that?
It is a matrix.
Oh, that's a pretty cool. I love it.
It's a matrix.
Oh, okay.
The world of today, from how I see, is becoming a matrix. It's in flux. Partnerships, closer, stronger supply chains, self-interest. Everybody is becoming very, very clear, be it the smallest of the countries, or the largest. So the world is now a matrix under construction. And in this matrix, which is under construction, I think that India does not see eye to eye with America.
And do you think that India has a freedom of press?
India has the freedom of press. Absolutely, yes. But yes, there are challenges. There are instances with respect to media which are brought out. India, I mean, in one way we can say is a very argumentative society, nation. But yes, and I think those same challenges extend across our media also.
We have our own problem with the Trump. He's a racist son of a bitch. Excuse me saying so. I shouldn't be saying so because he's a presidential candidate for the Republican Party. You probably know that I've written a lot of columns on Trump, lots and lots of, and I write it for the Medium. But let me change the conversation. What makes Indian Americans so special? What's the reason for the growing profile, importance, and influence in spite of their relative small numbers compared to many other communities? They could be vital resource, as a matter of fact, in the philanthropy, in innovation, in creating jobs, and so on and so forth. So why is that?
The other day,
in India diaspora all the time, so that's the reason I asked.
Yes, sir. The other day, Times of India interviewed me. In fact, yesterday, I think in tomorrow's paper it will be there. They're doing a story exactly to the question you asked. And they asked me that what is the contribution of the Indian American diaspora to the economy of America?
That is true.
I thought about it and I came up with a number. I'll share with you, sir, my approach. I first looked at the Indian American CEOs of the top 500 Fortune companies. Right. There are about 9 Indian American CEOs in the top 500. Then I looked at when they assumed office, what was the market value of their companies and what is the market value now? So that gives me a metric to say that an Indian American CEO of a Microsoft or a Google has added this much economic value to the American economy. And the number I came up with for these 9, the valuation of Microsoft when Nadella came to where it is, when Sundar Pichai came, and the other 8, 9 of FedEx and all, it's approximately $800 billion. I mean, so I can quantify it, saying that $1 trillion approximately is the economic value added by Indian American CEOs. Sure, we are taking that. That's one. My
question to you, we give an opportunity, like they have given me the opportunity to basically be the shining city upon a hill, and all the eyes are upon us, because the fact that we not only Indian American, we don't discriminate people because of the color, creed, religion, race, background, and belief. That's something that India can learn from this.
Oh, absolutely, totally. I mean, absolutely, totally. But here I hark to the example of America, where each state of the union addressed by the president ends with saying that, may the God bless us and make us a more perfect union. That is the spirit of America. India, all nations we have are, warts and these things. India needs to, all countries need to, I think, imbibe that spirit, that sure, wherever we are, we need to be a better, more perfect union.
But India doesn't do that. Does not give opportunity to the people who are lower caste, who are Muslims or minorities or Christians.
India is doing that, but yes, again, that's the point now. India is imperfect. The way, let's say, the US is imperfect. India is imperfect. India is moving towards perfection, should move towards perfection. But yes, I absolutely agree. And to your points that there are various, dark spots in our nation's, progress, but it has to be improved, sir. Sorry.
That's okay. Let me shift my gear and ask you another question. You have worked in public and economic diplomacy and even organized an India investment summit in London. What is the level of foreign direct investment in India, especially from the United States? And what are hurdles to investment? They say a lot of paperwork, corruption. People told me that, and also there's a lower rate of return. Do you agree with me?
Yes, sir. Coming to the second point, yeah. I mean, corruption, delays, settlement of contracts, the judicial system. If you go into, if there is a dispute, it can take ages and ages and not be solved. And, better not get into a dispute, go for arbitration, figure it out. Anyway, so contract. And then, essentially, these areas, bureaucracy, red tape, typically said, corruption, yes, intellectual property.
A lot of paperwork, and also if you're a foreigner, you cannot buy property in India. On the other hand, you can buy property in the United States.
Sure. I mean, see, some things like that can still be understood. Those can be a sovereign decision. I will not, let foreigners buy land in my country. Fair enough. The other party learns to live with it. But there are other, constraints or other factors which become hurdles in this process in fact, I'm reminded, the chairman of Microsoft in India, Ravi Venkatesan, I think his name was, a good friend of mine, he wrote a book. And he says that for a foreign company, and I teach this in my leadership programs, for a foreign company, if you can succeed in India, you can succeed anywhere in the world. And his point was that China is a different example. China is communism, boom, done. The mayor signs up with you, overnight things done. But India is everything, corruption, media, delays, red tape, etc., etc. So the world, majority of the world is like India. So if you can do well in India, you will
go anywhere.
you will win a gold medal anywhere in the world. This I'm not saying this. Ravi is saying in his book.
Let me also ask you. You have taught American University. I do mention when we started the conversation, and you have worked in the areas of cross communication. How do you see the level of the cultural exchanges between the United States and India, especially at the university level?
3 points. Yeah, I mean, I studied at American University, culture. I studied my business. I taught there also as adjunct, and that has shaped. As an adjunct professor, and really that has, if not changed, it has defined my life. And I understand you were on the board of American University.
Yes, I was.
I would congratulate you. It would be lovely to catch up with you offline also. So that changed, and the professors, they changed my life. I'll be very honest. My view of the world. That's one.
And how long were you professor at American University?
I was about 2 years.
2 years.
An adjunct faculty, I'm repeating, an adjunct. And then I came back to India after that. So I did my studies, I was doing my business,
my job. What made you to go back to India? Everybody wants to stay here.
A couple of things, maybe. I had a wireless startup, which I had co-founded. And we were doing good and all. The telecom bubble hit. So I sold my shares, whatever were, and made some little money to be little flexible in life. And in the meanwhile, I had joined up with a team of folks in Washington, D.C. area to set up a US-India Political Action Committee. Sanjay Puri, maybe you would know.
I know Sanjay for many, many years.
Yes, sir.
He used to have an IT company himself.
Yeah, Optimus. Then Vikram Chauhan. So these guys said, Vic is a dear friend of mine, brother of mine. So they said, okay, let's set up a, we give donations, but we only take pictures. Let's set up a PAC. And this is the meaning of a PAC. I discovered the meaning of a PAC then. Anyway, so that was that. So when I sold off my company, my mother had to have a knee replacement surgery and all. I had flexible time, some little money. I came back to India. I stayed on in India. I had not made up a firm mind that I will continue in the US. Some people do that. I did not. Yeah.
Well, now, and so that was the personal reason that you went back to India because of your brother.
My mom.
Your mother also?
No, my mom, she had to have a knee replacement. She had arthritis.
Okay,
So
I have arthritis myself, and I got several shots on my toe on the right hand
Wow.
side.
Oh, man. Bless you and hope. Well, aging, the biology of the body, sir,
That is
handmade.
that's a good way to put it,
Yeah. Check
Rubinder,
it.
that
It's a
it's part
journey.
of the aging process.
It's a journey, and God blesses us whichever way. And who knows what his meaning is? We know nothing. We'll see. I mean, each our lives. Yeah.
I want
So
to
that's.
go ahead. I want to
Mhm.
talk to you about you have been tech-based. You mentioned to us a consulting background, especially in the IT area. How do you see India riding in that AI, artificial intelligence wave? In what area US India can collaborate?
Only AI or bigger
Bigger
picture?
picture, bigger. What areas?
Sure. In the bigger, I will peg one specific one. But talking of AI and all, sure, definitely. See, I mean, India, we have talent, we have people, we have a demographic dividend, which can also
There's
be
no
a
question you have
problem,
a talent. You have a talent in India.
but it can be a problem also down the line, whatever. So there is huge synergy. And also, the synergy is, I think, enhanced by linkages between people like you, Indians of Indian origin, Indian Americans, bridging between the US and India, Silicon Valley, tech, etc., the businesses between US and India. They've played a key role. And if I could take just 10 seconds to clarify what you would know, remember Y2K?
Yeah, I know that.
Okay. Now, India's entire IT industry, I would say, has stood up only because of Y2K. Because those years, 99, 2000, there was a paranoia that, all computers will stop, airlines will go berserk, banks will go kooky. Y2K. That's when the first wave started, where Indian American tech people, tech companies, even SME entrepreneurs started up the bridge between Bangalore backend and America. That's how it started, I would say. The Wipros and Infosys and all in those years. Once that worked out okay, that opened up the bridge for the next, stage of, be it business process outsourcing or backend software. The Y2K was the trigger, I think,
Yeah.
and which made that. So coming back, US innovation. So the Indian American community and entrepreneurs are an absolute bridge and a pivotal part of this US-India relationship journey, I would feel, on the economy side. So therefore, AI trends happening there are happening here. You may be having maybe invested now, you may not be, an entrepreneur, you may be an investor now, and others are in tech companies. So that AI will go on. The bigger other game, which I see, so AI will go on, should do well. Huge scope, I would say. Green energy, green tech, etc. These are the sunrise sectors. The other, if you pardon me, can I use and you can clip it? Yeah.
Yeah, sure. Take your time.
No, thanks. Yeah.
You're
Okay.
doing fantastic. Thank you.
Sure. No, thank you. We've turned off the fan because that could disturb the speed, but I got the
Okay,
AC on in the room.
so you do not have air conditioning at home?
No, I have air conditioning, but what happens, Delhi is so moist and humid
Yeah, it's pretty
that
bad here. It's 100-degree here, sir.
so you need a combination of the AC and the fan to
In order for
that.
you to get a more
Yeah,
cooler air.
sure. Yeah. So okay, so AI, tech, green energy, but one area I see, actually two, hugely, and which the US needs right now, and the US is desperate, I would say, not only the US, Europe, is defense. And I'll put it this way.
Yeah.
The US, over the past many years, has kind of degraded its military production complex. After the Cold War, they never thought there'll be a bigger war, etc. They were making some. The Lockheed Martins were not getting new, orders from Pentagon or whatever. So they shut down their production lines. Since the Ukraine war, that has become a huge challenge. Now, the 155 mm shells, something as simple as 155 mm artillery shells, the US is ramping up its production. It cannot match up.
True.
The NATO countries are ramping up. They cannot match up.
Match
The
up,
javelins,
match up against Russia and China?
No, match up for
okay.
for the need which Ukraine needs.
Yeah, I agree.
They have been giving from their stockpiles.
Right.
Okay,
right.
they have been reducing their own inventory. They need to give more to Ukraine and they need to restock their inventory. Plus, they have to rearm or beef up their presence in the Asia Pacific, in Guam and everywhere else. And plus, Taiwan wants more. Plus, Israel needs more. So, the US
Israel always needs more.
So they do not have the production facilities. So therefore, one thing which can work in a big way, if these, India can be the back-end factory of defense production for the United States. Like China was the back-end consumer factory for the last 30 odd years, manufacturing, shoes, slippers, t-shirts and all. America needs a factory for defense. India can be that factory at a lower cost structure. That, in a big sense, I think is, but there are challenges to that, technology transfer and even more trust kind of issues. But that is the big one, and where America is in pain. America needs that.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
That could be, yeah.
So, but there's a tension between Russia and the United States in terms of with the Putin, and also the Ukraine war. They're not doing anything to defend India, as I see it.